We will open it with an invited lecture by Nathalie Colloq from Caen. I'm trying to pronounce it right. Caen?
Yes.
Okay, you say it later. And she is a crystallographer, but somehow she got involved with high-pressure gas and protein studies. And I think a lot of what she's doing is really the future. If you really want to understand how pressure interacts with molecules and particularly with proteins. So please, the title is Protein Noble Gas Interaction Crystallography Studies. Please.
Thank you, Rami. First, I want to thank Rami for inviting here to the very interesting meeting and to discover this beautiful country. So I will talk about the the studies of the interaction between proteins and xenon and nitrous oxide. And my favorite technique is crystallography. I will explain you why. So xenon and nitrous oxide have very interesting properties. First, they are anesthetic gas. It works very well. And what is more interesting, that was found in 1998 for xenon and for nitrous oxide, they have the properties to being low affinity antagonist of NMDA receptors. And they have no action of GABA receptors, contrary to other anesthetics that are halogenated or argon. So these very interesting properties make that many groups in the world try to understand the neuroprotective properties of xenon and nitrous oxide. Here's the result from Jack Abrainis groups. I'm working with Jack Abrainis. So if a rat has an ischemic stroke and breathes after either air or xenon or nitrous oxide, when they breathe xenon or nitrous oxide, the neuronal death volume is diminished. So these two gases are thus neuroprotective. So they are promising therapeutic agents for cerebral ischemia, and it has published in Phasep journal for xenon and in critical care medicine for nitrous oxide. To compare anesthetic, there's the scale, which is a MAC, alveolar anesthetic concentration, which is associated with behavioral endpoints. MAC awake is associated with amnesia or hypnosis in human, and in rat it's associated with loss of writing reflex. And MAC immobility is associated with deep sedation and lack of response to noxious stimuli. That means chirurgical anesthesia. And anyway, so when we compare these two gases for the narcotic potency, xenon and nitrous oxide, xenon is 1.4 more potent than nitrous oxide, and if we, for MAC immobility, they are as potent. I'm sorry, it's completely messed up. These two gases interact with proteins through very weak interaction, this van der Waals interaction, that's called London interaction. Xenon is a sphere, of course, with 54 electrons, and due to its high number of electrons, it's very polarizable and very soluble in hydrophobic environment. We'll see it's a very important characteristic. And nitrous oxide is an elongated molecule with 22 electrons. It's less polarizable than xenon, since it has less electrons. However, it has a weak dipolar moment, since there's a nitrogen atom here and an oxygen atom here. And thus is less soluble in hydrophobic environment. And we will see these two properties as very important for their binding to proteins. So I'm using X-ray crystallography. Two atoms are too small to be visualized by a microscope, even the more powerful microscope. So there are other ways to visualize atoms, either by NMR or X-ray crystallography. X-ray crystallography is my favorite technique, since it's the technique which gives you the higher accuracy of the position of atoms. It's very, very precise. But the main drawback, the huge drawback, is you need to have crystals. And it's difficult to have crystals of proteins. It's not something proteins like to do. Especially for very large proteins like the neuronal channel receptor we are interested in. That's why I use globular proteins which easily crystallize as a model for the proteins we would like to use. And I am using crystallography under gas pressure. That's I put a crystal, protein crystal, yes, in a quartz capillary with cell here, and it's put on the pressurization shell. This is here. This part that has been designed and conceived by Thierry Pranger, and this pressurization cell is connected. This is the pressurization cell is connected to the gas bottle through a system of regulator and connector here, a very high precision gauge, and a dwelling. We use gas pressure between 1 and 40 bars. We cannot go further than 60 bars after there's a risk of failure of the capillary. The gas pressure is maintained during the whole data collection. And we estimated with crystallography you need to put more pressure on the gas to be able to visualize it. So we consider that the pressure between 1 and 10 bar will will be similar to ambient pressure and physiological condition. So the interest of X-ray crystallography is when you put your crystals or your crystal in a gas with gas pressure in front of X-ray, the crystal will diffract, and after a lot of calculation, you can arrive with the coordinates of all atoms in the proteins, and if there are gas, you can locate the gas and see what is main effect. So as I told you, the huge drawback of crystallography is you need to have crystals, and the crystal of the neuronal channel receptors are too small, too fragile to be used under gas pressure. So I choose globular proteins that can be used as models. So I have chosen 3 enzymes, which are known to bind xenon, and 2 globins. Our first model is UAT oxidase. It's a tetramer with 4 identical binding sites, which is visualized here by the competitive inhibitor. So that's 4 identical binding sites. And gas bind in 2 locations. One here, which is only happens at high pressure, so it's not physiological, is a very small binding site with very low gas occupation. More interesting is this gas binding site. It's a cavity which is empty in the structure with no gas. Empty means not it's void. Void doesn't exist in nature, but there's no water we stay in it. There may be transient water, but no water stays in this cavity, so we see nothing when there are no gas. When there are gas, we see perfectly well either the xenon or the nitrous oxide. And this cavity is very close to the active site, located here with the inhibitor in it. And this cavity here is lined by a lot of carbon atoms, so it's very hydrophobic site. As expected, the gas occupancy grows with the applied pressure. And we can see that xenon occupancy is always higher than nitrous oxide occupancy. We have also tried an equimolar mixture of both gases and see that they compete for the same site. The main structural effect of the presence of the gas in the cavity is the expansion of the volume of the cavity. Here you can see the expansion of the volume of the cavity as a function of pressure, and the expansion is higher for the mixture, and higher than the expansion induced by the xenon, which is higher than the expansion induced by the nitrous oxide. So we wanted to check if this structural effect of the presence of a gas, the expansion of the cavity, has a biological meaning. So we have performed activity assay on UAT oxidase. It's an enzyme who oxidases uric acid. So we have followed uric acid disappearance with a buffer with bubble either with air, with xenon, nitrous oxide, or the mixture. Each time with 25% oxygen. It's important, since it's an oxidase, we need to have oxygen it needs to have oxygen to work. So the percentage of oxygen is the same. So either inhibition is only due to the presence of the gas. And you can see it has an inhibition, especially for the in presence of xenon and the mixture, there's a large inhibition of the catalytic reaction. And the inhibition induced by the mixture is a little higher than the inhibition induced by the xenon, which is a lot of higher than the inhibition induced by the nitrous oxide.